Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy you joined us here, and this is Conversations with a Goddess, a project that I've been holding in my heart for many years, and I'm so very happy to be sharing it with you now. I know that every woman has a story, a powerful story, and our stories are quite often overlooked and excluded by our culture. Additionally, many of us aren't comfortable claiming and sharing all of the amazing contributions we make to our world. We're not comfortable singing our own praises usually. Therefore, my intention is that these conversations with wonderful women, with goddesses, will serve as a greater awakening to the awareness of our own unique power as women individually and also as a collective. And today, my conversation is with the extremely graceful and, as you can see, very beautiful goddess, Amy Owen. So Amy, I'm so happy you're here with me. It's just so wonderful. And as I said earlier, I wish I could touch you. You're too far away, dearest. I know.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Julie, for inviting me here. I'm honored to speak with you today. Truly.
So we were talking earlier. The first time I met Amy, I totally remember meeting her, and it was close to 30 years ago. So we were both negative 20, weren't we, darling, or something? And I was just thinking, it just speaks volumes about who you are that I would remember out of all the thousands and thousands of people I'm sure I've met over my past 30 years. And I remember you smiling the whole time, you know. So and you are smiling right now. You're one of those people who's always beaming light and smiles. So so for the past 30 years, we've had mutual friends, and now we've been very blessed to get to know one another better. So thank you, and you're always such a supportive, wonderful woman. So thank you. So you are also an amazing yogini, a birth doula. You lead fantastic yoga retreats. You're a mama of 3, and you've been practicing meditation since the mid-'80s. So you started in '86. I started in '87. So you're a more advanced yogi than I am. so
What year?
Totally more advanced. And since you are more advanced, I would love it. I would love it if you just, you and I both know there's so much happening on the planet right now and so much happening in our country. And as a human being, who's really been grounded in a deeper place, I would love it if we could just take a few minutes just to sit with you, just to breathe or whatever you'd like to do, just to have a short meditation, just to connect.
Sure, absolutely. I think it's always nice to just take a pause throughout our day, and get centered. And I do this all the time when I park the car. If I've been rushing around, it's like, I remember when I'd be in the carpool line with my kids, that was my time. Instead of picking up my phone, I would close my eyes and just get centered, get grounded. And it's something that I do throughout my day all the time. So yeah, let's do it right now.
Awesome.
So everyone, just close your eyes, sit up nice and tall. And this is the beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be long. It can just be a minute, and it doesn't have to be complicated, right? So just closing your eyes, take a nice inhale through your nose, open up your mouth and exhale it out. And again, big inhale through your nose. Open up your mouth and sigh. One more time. Inhale through your nose. Open up your mouth and make your exhale like longer than your inhale, even twice as long. And then inhale through your nose. Keep your mouth closed and sigh. Inhale through your nose. Keep your mouth closed and sigh. And again, inhale through your nose. Keep your mouth closed and make that exhale twice as long as your inhale. Just one more time like that. Nice inhale. And make that exhale as long and full and deep as you can. And then just open up your eyes nice and slowly. So when we exhale, when we make our exhale longer than our inhale, we are immediately slowing our nervous system down. We're switching from that fight or flight mode, that rushing around mode, to that feed and breed, just starting to slow the nervous system down. So no matter what's going on in our heads, so many people say, I can't meditate, I can't stop my mind from thinking. Just focus on your breathing. Just do that. And the exhale is the calming part of the breath. So when we make it longer, we're leaning into that part of our nervous system. So there you go.
So fantastic. I was like, do you think we could have this conversation telepathically and people, you and I could just sit here with our eyes closed and be like, okay, that's it. You got the download. We're good.
I know, you kind of just want to keep going, don't you? I mean, I find this with my clients. It's like, it's hard to pull them out of that state when you watch people really drop in and just settle down. It's so beautiful. So, yeah.
That's so great.
And so needed.
And I do think, a lot of people do have trouble meditating. And for, you and I mean, you're much younger than I am, darling. So, I mean, I was like, when did Amy start practicing meditation? When she was 12. So tell us, that's not on my little script with you, but tell us, because I read a little bit about that. I mean, it's fascinating to me. Tell us a little bit about, you must have been in your mid-teens, right? I mean.
Yeah. I was 17. Oh, no, I was 16. And I went to Tokyo. That's a whole nother story.
But great adventure, man.
I landed in Tokyo to be there for the summer between my junior year and senior year of high school. And I arrived on a Friday afternoon, and my group that I was joining, someone picked me up and they dropped me off at this apartment, and they said, okay, we'll see you Monday. And I was like, oh, okay. Whoa. So I had 2 full days, and I had a roommate, but my roommate was not there that weekend. And I was 16. I didn't even think to bring a book. I don't even remember having anything. Like, I don't know what I had. I mean, obviously I had a book or something because I was an avid reader on the plane or something, but I just had nothing. Or maybe I finished my book and then I had nothing. There was one book in this apartment, and it was Shirley MacLaine's Out on a Limb.
Right.
So if that doesn't date,
I was going to say, darling, these young people are going to be like, okay, what is that?
Right. So look her up. And it was this book, but there was something, and it was all I had to do. And so I dove into this book, and there was something about her journey and learning how to meditate and the inward journey to the self that lit me up, just resonated. And I was like, oh, I want that. How do I get that? So that was it. And then I started, it was like, wait, what is it? This is Eastern philosophy. This is Buddha. Like, I didn't even really know what it was. Then I read Autobiography of a Yogi, and for me, yoga was all about meditation. I didn't do the asana practice, the physical practice for a long time after that. And so I was like, I read something about transcendental meditation. The Beatles had learned how to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to look that up in the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, so the Yellow Pages.
Seriously.
Oh, for real?
For real.
So you looked up transcendental meditation in the Yellow Pages back in the day. God, that's impressive.
Yeah, and I had this little period of time. I had like a month before I was like going back to school, and I called, there's the one center in Chicago, and they said, "Oh, we have a program starting, a month-long program, and it's starting tomorrow." And so I went and I did that, and then I just kept eating up, eating up every book I could get my hands on, every aspect of Eastern philosophy and religion, and this practice.
I have so many questions about this, but we're gonna. I mean, they're just popping into my mind. But I think we'll. But I mean, like, because that was unusual. It wasn't like you had
No,
support from friends or family or
no.
anywhere. I mean, it was an inner knowing, an inner call, which
Yeah, and I will tell you, I didn't talk about it. It was so underground and so woo-woo and out there that
totally,
I was a closet meditator. I
literally.
was like, literally, I was a closet meditator. I mean, people didn't know. And I remember one time one of my sisters walked into my room, and I was there meditating, and she freaked out and was like, "What is going on with Amy?" My family thought I had joined a cult. So I would, whenever I did that, I mean, I would kind of cover the books that I was reading when I was on a job or was with other people. I was very covert about this path that I was on, this
I,
interest. So
I
yeah,
totally get it, babe. My story too. My story
yeah,
too, totally, you know. I mean, I was older than you, so when did I start? When I was 26, you know, but I would never talk about it. And actually, I'm now 30 years later, like I'm out, you know, but it's taken, right? I mean, I'm just like, well, I guess everybody else is talking about it. Maybe we should just confess that we've been doing this a long time, you know? So,
yeah,
but agreed, you know, agreed. But it takes, that takes darling, that's something that goes beyond, right? I mean, that's
hmm,
that inner knowing that you just are going to keep going even though nobody else is really doing it. So, wow,
yeah, yeah.
really, really a trailblazer in that way. Okay, so can we hop from being the beautiful yogini as I can only imagine at 20, you know, and then so I read in your bio at Yoga View, like what? Skydiving? Like this gorgeous,
Hmm,
graceful creature jumping out of planes?
I
I
know,
was like, so
I
there's
know.
got to be a story there too, because obviously meditation was bringing you. I mean, it takes time to accumulate that peace, I think, but you know, bringing you peace, and at the same time, you're some other thing is happening where you're jumping out of airplanes because it wasn't just once, right? You were
Right,
skydiving.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I I had my astrology sign done once, and or many times, but one time someone said to me, I'm a Taurus sign and a Aquarius moon
Rising.
or
Oh, moon.
rising. No, I'm an Aries rising, and I'm an Aquarius moon. And someone described me one time, this astrologer was saying, "You've got one foot firmly planted on the earth and the other one straight up in the air." And that's how I've always felt. I'm such a grounded, I'm a homebody. I love my home. I'm such a Taurus. I'm so earthy, but I have a real wild side and a fiery side. That's the Aries in me that loves adventure, loves thrill seeking, and loves adrenaline rush. And I will try anything once. And so it's like skydiving. Oh my
Wow.
God, people do that. I'll do that. So I'm just a highly curious, interested person, and a real, I don't know, kind of thrill seeker.
So what else,
So
darling? What else other than I mean, like, okay, so skydiving. Now I'm kind of curious. Like, you know, you don't have to share, but it's, you know, what else? I mean,
I,
skydiving's
I
a
mean,
big deal. I mean,
yeah. I'm just somebody who I will take up any sport, any hobby. I'll do anything once, and most things twice. Um, it's the truth. So you name it, and I've done it. I'm a snowboarder. I did scuba diving, even though I am actually very claustrophobic.
uh-huh.
So that's something that I've realized like really doesn't work for me is scuba
Right.
diving. But I tried it and I've done it multiple times. I'm a great swimmer. I've hiked, the Himalayas. I've, done a lot of
Okay, darling.
backpacking. throughout
You
the
need to write a
world.
book
So I don't know.
now. I'm waiting.
Well,
I'm waiting for the book.
I need to find
Honestly.
the writer to do it for me. Yeah, we'll see. When I slow down one day, maybe I will.
So we'll put the radar out for the ghostwriter. You know what I mean?
Perfect. Yeah, yeah.
For sure. Yeah, because I mean, the same reason that I want to do these conversations is because I think it's so inspiring for women to hear from other women, you know? And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm 57. At 50, I was like, for my 50th birthday, I'm going to skydive. And then I was like, you know, a week into 50, I was like, not so much. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Yeah.
where, especially, I mean, as women go through menopause, there is a tendency to contract, you know? I mean, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but estrogen is a tend and befriend hormone, right? It's a juicy hormone. So as estrogen decreases, there is the tendency sometimes to tunnel. So I think it's so important as women, as we go into the second half of our life, over 50, that we keep juicy and alive, you know? So.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Yeah.
going to jump out of a plane yet, darling. Maybe if you were to go
Yeah.
with me, I'd go.
And I wouldn't jump out of a plane now at 50.
Uh-huh.
At 52, I wouldn't do it now.
Right.
But I did it when I was 17. You know, it's different.
Damn. Where did
Yeah.
you grow up? Anyway, we'll talk later. So,
Okay.
so yeah, so taking a different turn. So I think so many of us come to deeper self-awareness through a journey that involves struggle or hardship. And you know, they speak of the dark night of the soul, but usually it's multiple dark nights of the soul over a lifetime. I think that's kind of some of the gig here on planet Earth. You know, great joy, enormous love, and then also for those of us who are interested, you know, is a deeper understanding of ourselves and how we can serve and how we really can be even more human in the best parts of being human. So I would love if you could share anything about your own journey that has supported you in having this deeper, you know, really beautiful experience of your own inner self, or obviously clients, and I know additionally you offer your service, you know, at Cook County Jail, which that's got to be incredible. So you're working with women who, I mean, I have done that also, not offering yoga, but working with inmates as well, and you realize how similar we all are, right? So, and I'm sure your love opens a doorway for them too. So anyway, broad question, but you know, what your own hardship and struggle, and how have you transformed that, or any thoughts you have on that,
Yeah.
dearest?
I mean, I would say that's my story. You know, that's my story. It's been childhood trauma and neglect and suffering and depression and lack of love and lack of support as a child, not feeling worthy as a child, you know, really like almost not making it. And
Right.
you know, we're so resilient. You know, our instinct to survive is so strong. And there was something in me that was still alive. There was a light inside me, and it was so dim, but there was that light burning. And that it was like I took it from the tiniest little flicker. I was so fragmented. I was so, you know, I say like at my knees, you know, I almost felt like I was at death's door. And it was that little flicker inside me that I just kept growing. You know, I kept leaning into, and I kept like, that was what propelled me to start meditating. And that's what propelled me to make some really out of the box choices. And it's been my guiding force. And so it's been out of the pain and the suffering where I've found light and success and joy. And sometimes I think as humans, that's kind of how it works. And so it's been the gift. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have the life that I now have, the life that I like could only imagine as a child. I wouldn't be able to serve the people that I serve if I hadn't gone through this journey. You know, it's just, and I don't think that, I think with heartache and with suffering comes tremendous compassion and empathy for others. And it's kind of the only doorway. It's the only doorway. So I have failed, I have suffered, I have picked myself up 1,000 times, I have veered and pivoted, I have burned everything down to the stilts and rebuilt many, many, many times in my life. It has been the story of my life. And I will continue to, because that's the journey, right? Like for me, I will not rest. You know, I always want to evolve and be bigger and brighter and more empowered. And I just, at my core, believe there's so much beauty in life and there's so much beauty in being alive. I want to feel as alive, as joyful and happy as possible. And I want that for everyone else too. And I do believe that everyone can have it, but it is a journey. And not an easy one all the time.
I can only imagine that when people are in a class with you or sit with you or your friends, that you're really vibrationally you're transmitting that, so they know because we all, I mean, we're all going through challenges no matter how expansive and awakened we are, right? There's always a new edge. That because you are so deeply committed to your own journey and connected to that spark, that allows other women to know that they can do it too. As I was listening to your words, honestly, you articulated so beautifully, Amy, my own experience. And so, and I think so many women don't, my experience with my loved ones, my dear female friends, so many women don't feel seen or heard or really trust that another woman can hold them in their experience of life, that it's too big for anyone and they have to, keep it to themselves. And so I feel like we're so fortunate to have you on the planet. We're so fortunate to have you here in Chicago, and that just your beingness is supporting women in their own journey. So, and I also didn't know all that. And so I'm in awe, babe, even more so. So thank you. And thank you for the work you've done that makes it possible for other people to go through the doorway into deeper light, So, yeah, babe, you rock. Damn.
Yeah, it's feeding the flame, it's feeding the flame.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And finding our own way to do that, we're all so unique. So, birth doula, like you have a fabulous photograph on your website where you're looking at a new mother holding her baby, and you could be her mother. You know what I mean? Like, you look like this woman is, your daughter and your granddaughter, and you know what I mean? You look too young to be her mother, obviously, in the photograph. But, so I was like, oh my God. So how did you decide to go through and just FYI, Guru Mook, so not everybody knows who she is, but she's an extraordinary, Kundalini yoga goddess extraordinaire. And she actually, so that was interesting. I didn't know we had that connection. I would watch back in the day her videos every day during my pregnancy, and then her postpartum videos postpartum. And it was so expansive for me. So Kundalini yoga has been really fabulous in my life during challenging times. So anyway, Guru Mukh is sort of the goddess of prenatal yoga, right? I mean,
Yeah.
magnificently beautiful and such a
Yeah.
goddess. So I mean, if you want to talk about that, great. People can Google her. But, so, I mean, did it come as the kids were small? Or were you, at what point in your journey did you decide, okay, wow, I want to support women in the birth process?
I think for me, in my 3 births, I did not get the support that I needed. And my eyes were wide open. I was reading Ina May Gaskin, and I was going to
Totally.
Gabriel Halpern's classes. He, it wasn't a prenatal class, but he's like, just come, I'll help you. And he turned me on to spiritual midwifery. And I was like, I'm doing this thing. Yeah. This is how I want to birth my baby. And the outcome of that was quite different. And it was slowly through 3 births, I found my voice, and I informed myself. It wasn't even learning, like finding my voice. It was just understanding the system,
Right.
and the first time I got kind of bulldozed and I had a C-section. I had placenta previa. So it was something that really truly couldn't have been avoided, but it was so not my birth vision. And through the 3 births, by the 3rd birth, I had the closest semblance to what my vision was. But it wasn't what I imagined it could be and what I knew it could be. And my prenatal yoga, I started doing prenatal yoga with Gabriel Halpern because there was no prenatal yoga. And I was in a class with people who were not pregnant. And by my 3rd pregnancy, I found Jessica Quinn, Tom Quinn's wife at Yoga View, who's an amazing goddess and such an incredible healer. She does incredible body work and really a healer. Someone said to me, oh, she does, because she had trained with Gurmukh a little bit and done a workshop with her. Someone said, oh, she just had a baby, but she does a little prenatal yoga. And because I couldn't find anything in the city that worked for me. And so I reached out to her, and she said, well, if you can get a few, I just had this baby, but if you can get a few women together, we can do this thing. And we did this thing. And it was so expansive. It was very Gurmukh, very Kundalini. It was just so expansive. It was so wonderful. And it was so wonderful to be with other women who were pregnant, going through the same thing. It was so empowering and so communal, and it just filled me up. And so I wanted to bring that to other women.
Right.
I was like, I just saw a hole. I saw a need for it with the prenatal yoga. And then I always knew that it would expand to the birth world, but my kids were so little, I kind of waited a little bit. And it wasn't until actually a woman in one of my prenatal yoga classes came up to me. She said, Amy, will you be with me in my birth? I want you in my birth. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't have training. And she's like, no, you have everything that I need. I need you there. She was this Colombian woman, and she wouldn't even let her husband in the room. She's like, Ricardo, you're going out. Amy, you're going to be here. And she's like, Amy, we're going to do this thing together. And I don't care if you don't have training and blah, blah. But she was the impetus that I got trained. But she had this beautiful birth, and she really,
wow.
it was she birthed me as a doula, and I helped birth her as a mother. And so it was really kind of the beginning. And I, on a more radical side, right? Like that's I just want to give that to other women. The fiery part of me says, like, what is happening in our medical system and the industry, the birthing industry, is absolutely not acceptable. And it enrages me on a daily basis. And so part of me is, being a feminist, it's like, this is kind of my underground radical movement. is
Uh-huh.
I am going to go in to every birth and make sure that woman is seen and heard and her wishes are granted and she feels empowered and held and supported every step of the way, no matter how her birth unfolds, period. And every woman, that is her birthright. And that's what she deserves. And so I'm on this mission, one birth at a time.
Damn. I hope everyone
So,
can see your eyes when you talk about that, darling. It's like,
oh, it is. It's like,
and I mean, this is, you and I could talk about this too for a very long time because of my own birth story. And yeah, so much to be
Kali.
said. Do
I
you
mean,
think it is
just,
Kali? It is. So that's interesting.
it's
I was
Kali
going to
energy.
ask you, you
Yeah.
know, like if you had to claim a goddess, I mean, you could take them all, but definitely Kali energy. And have you seen things getting better or no?
But
It's
then
sort of,
I'm Kuan Yin also. It's
yes,
like
you
I have
are.
that mother. Yeah, I mean, I'm Kuan Yin.
Right.
I am such a
We are all of
mother
it.
of all, and yeah, but I'm also that
Yeah.
Kali.
I bet.
No, I haven't seen it change. No, and I
Right.
think if anything, it's getting worse. And that's because of the insurance companies, and it's no fault of a lot of medical providers and doctors and even midwives. Their backs are against the wall, and they're having to churn out these births, and they're on a timeline, and they're moving as fast as they can, and sometimes as best as they can, and sometimes they're falling way short. Most of the time, they're falling way short.
Yeah. I can say briefly during my son's birth, I mean, I had a birth plan that was like 16 pages long. So nobody was coming in the room because they couldn't read past page one. You know, they were like, yeah, no, I'm not going in, you know. But I knew he was a very still baby. And I had done a few meditation retreats while he was in utero. And I just know that he wanted stillness. So, you know, we had beautiful mantras playing in the background. And yeah, I won't go into the whole birth story, but yeah, I was my fierce Kali advocate for myself. You know what I mean? And
It's
I did
great.
have an extraordinary, I had the head of midwifery at, I decided to birth at UIC because the woman who was the head of midwifery was like Kali goddess, you know, or Durga with a big sword, and there was no fooling. And I was like, you're going to be my midwife. She's like, maybe not, you know, I have other people. I was like, no, it's you. Like this woman did with you. Like, you know, no way. Bye,
Amazing.
Ricardo. You're coming in, Amy. You know, and I think,
Yeah.
I mean, we need each other. You know, we do need that female support, especially another woman who's very familiar with the territory. You know,
Yeah.
you can read every book in the world, and you can read Ina May, and still, it's a mystical, mysterious process,
Yeah.
and we
And that's
do
the
need,
pitfall.
we
That's the
need,
pitfall.
and we
You
need
read all the
women who are
books and
doing.
then you go in and suddenly you're just bulldozed. Like you're
Right,
like,
well,
well, what
because
about
nobody
this?
else has read those books. I
And
mean,
then
that's the
right,
bottom
right.
line. You've read the books, but they haven't read the same books that you have, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, so speaking about this Kali and this, you know, this female strength and leadership. So your middle child is a girl, is your daughter, right? So,
Yeah.
so can we talk parenting for a little bit? Like raising
Yeah.
strong
Yeah.
women. I mean, it's interesting raising men during this time too, but since this is, you know, we could talk about that if we want, but I'm curious, you know, about, obviously we have heard about your, you know, in every example, every question you've spoken about your feminine leadership, you know, so without a doubt, but, you know, raising young women, I'm actually surprised that more young women aren't more fierce, you know, and but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You know, we do have a patriarchal world culture, and we've all been in that soup, you know, so there are things we don't see. But I'd love to hear from you because you do have a daughter, and you were just saying you love your nieces too, and so before we went and recorded, but yeah, so I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, I mean, I think as as a parent, I've always felt like I have to lead by example. You
Mm.
know, kids don't listen to what you say, they watch what you do.
Hmm.
And what I'm doing, whether I think they are watching or not, they are. And so I've always taken that to heart. And I have made decisions in my life based on not what I, not what I don't think is right for me, but how do I want to lead by example for my daughter? So there were a lot of things that I could choose as a job. I've done many other things, but there was something very purposeful in choosing a job that was of service.
Mm.
It was important to me to be an advocate for other women.
Hmm.
Um, it was important for me to leave a marriage when I didn't feel like that marriage was going to mirror to her what a healthy relationship looks like,
So important.
because she was going, that's what she would see, that's what she would learn. And so I felt like that was very important. The timing, even of that, I felt was important because I wanted her to see her mother as someone who was healthy and whole and living her best life. Um, One story I will say is, and I think this is such a big thing for all parents, and I think it's a little bit of what our generation has thrown. We're in a little bit of a pitfall of it. Is this kind of doing everything for our kids
Yeah.
has
Right.
disempowered them. And that's a whole nother, right? We can go down that road and
Right.
that's a whole
Right.
nother podcast. Um, but I'll tell you a story with my daughter. So my daughter was kind of a delicate child, and very coddled. And we really wanted to give our kids the best of everything and do everything for them. And now I know that was a real disservice to them, um, to a degree. And there was a point where my daughter said, I want to go to Spain my junior year of high school. And it's like, wow. And I was like, okay, let's talk about this. And I listened to her and we talked about it and I heard all her reasons. And I was like, yeah, okay, great. How are we going to make this happen? And how can I help you make this happen? There were many, many other voices around her that said, she can't do this. What are you doing, Amy? What are you doing? You can't send Lila to Spain. Lila? She can't. Like, how she'll never be able to do it. She's so young. She's so this. She's so that. You know, including her father, including other family members. And I remember saying to her father, if we don't believe in her, who will? Who will? We have to believe in our children. And so I choose to believe my children every step of the way and listen to them when they're saying, I want to go to Spain, or I don't want to go to college, or even if that's not the picture, the vision that I had for my children is to really listen to them and see them for who they are and believe them and trust them. And I think when we believe in them, we empower them.
And that was, I assume, a tremendous experience for her. I mean, right? So
She
she was able to feel
flourished.
herself outside of the family
Oh my
system,
gosh.
right? She
Yes,
she
yes.
she was on her own doing her. Her mother had done the same thing.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty interesting to see the parallel path, actually. And she's a very out of the box kid now, but that was what empowered her. And it's led her down a path of real empowerment. And she needed to prove to herself that she could do it. And she did. And now that flame is just growing. It's getting bigger and brighter and more expansive. And it's so beautiful to watch.
Oh my God, you're such a good mama, honey. Such a
Oh,
good mama.
I'm just doing my best. Not every day,
Yeah, three.
I
It
mean,
always amazes me that people do more than one. First of all, they give birth more than once. or what, or however they bring children in, that they go through that process more than once is like unbelievable. I mean, and then just, it's not, it's managing 3 children. And I think many women that I know had, did a lot of deep healing on their own family system before they had children, or were in the process of doing that. So consciously wanted to raise their own children differently than they were, obviously. And, and then we get in there and it's, like every day is unpredictable, right? So, but I do think that evolution is happening. Our children are happier and healthier than, and our family systems are happier and healthier than we were. And, but it is a work in progress, darling. And I hope that our granddaughters are totally incredibly awesome,
Yeah. Yeah. My wish for my kids is to, do it better than I've done it, learn from my mistakes and learn from my, that's evolution,
Totally. I mean, of course we want that, So, dearest, any last, it's just been so beautiful being with you. Oh my God. So anyway, any last fabulous, I mean, I can't imagine. It was all fabulous.
I love what you quoted. You sent me a little thing about Glennon Doyle's Untamed.
Yes.
I just finished that book, and it's so funny because what was your question?
Okay, so this is Glennon Doyle's quote from her most recent book, and it's so, I might use it at the end of every one of these conversations.
It's such a good question.
Right? What is
I had written it down in my journal because it was I was like, this question.
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly don't even know. Anyway, I'll read the question, but I honestly not even really sure. I was like, if somebody asked me that, I would know. What is the truest, most beautiful story about your life that you can imagine? What is the truest, most beautiful story about your life that you can imagine?
And when you asked that question, I did the same thing. I was like, how do I answer that? I mean, the truth is, it's the life I'm living right now. Totally. It's the life I'm living right now. And it's not a masterpiece yet, but it's sure darn close. And I would just say it's just taken a tremendous amount of courage and strength and failure and unwillingness to settle on a life that is less than the life I've always imagined for myself. Damn. And I've always known in my heart of hearts was possible. And I didn't really ever know what that would look like, but I knew what it wasn't. And when it hasn't felt right, and when I'm like, not this, right? The proverb, like, not this, not this.
Right.
I have found a way to shift, pivot, walk away, burn down, whatever it needs to find a new and better way to stay on this trajectory of living the fullest, most beautiful life possible. So, and remembering I'm a goddamn cheetah, as Glennon Doyle says.
You're a jaguar, darling, I thought.
I'm a black jaguar. So when she says a cheetah, I'm a black jaguar.
You go to the black. Yeah, you are totally that. Yeah. Well, I mean, my prayer and my wish and my deepest hope for you, dearest, is that it even becomes more magnificent, and that you are a tremendous guide for other women to find that, and that your work on our planet expands so that more women can see you and find you and be in your company and blossom more beautifully themselves, so I just
and that's my hope for your audience, and that's my belief that every woman, man, human being has that opportunity, has that chance to really create a masterpiece for themselves and the life that they've imagined for themselves. And I think it's usually bigger than what we've imagined.
Oh,
Our imagination is actually limited. So just keep going towards the beauty and the
yeah.
happiness
Oh
and
my
the joy.
God.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie.
So, oh my gosh, and I want to tell people if they want to find you. So you're
Yes.
ampersand, right? Amy Owen Yoga, right?
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
amyowenyoga.com.
Hmm.
And you do beautiful, I know from experience, fabulous private sessions. You do beautiful classes. Are you teaching? So you're doing virtual now during this quarantine. Are you going to start doing classes live? Do you know? Do you have a schedule for that?
I don't have a schedule for that yet. We're just kind of taking it day by
Yep.
day as things open up, as people get more comfortable, as we go to the next phase, and maybe we can do it outside. We'll do it outside.
Nice, nice.
I'm just kind of rolling with it, and we'll see. But right now it's all virtual. And what is kind of amazing is the doula support. I've actually been able to do some
Yes.
of it virtually. And it's been
Whoa.
more effective than I thought possible, which is great because women are not allowed to have doulas in the hospital with them right now at all.
Right.
And I don't have a feeling that they're going to change that anytime soon.
Wow. So you are
So,
doing virtual doula blessing service. That's incredible. So that is totally
yeah.
important for people to know. So they can find out more about that on your website too.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, all of
then
it.
if you really want to hang out with Amy, you can go to
I
Mexico, to
tell you.
Rancho La Puerta, which is like a fabulous farm to table, amazing, kind of
Oh,
the desert, right? Isn't it? Anyway,
It's
so
like
look, that just
it's
look at Amy. She looks
mountains.
fabulous talking about it.
Yeah,
So if you if you
yeah,
feel that same feeling that she feels, right? It's the beginning of June.
yeah. So it's not going to be this year. So
Oh,
we
it's not going to be
postponed
this
it.
year. Oh,
It's
okay.
we postponed it. So
Oh,
next
so
year I have one in Costa Rica in February. I have Red Mountain Resort and Spa in Utah, St. George, Utah, near Zion National Park in April, and then Rancho we've postponed till next June.
oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa, Amy's flying to San Diego June 2020. I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. We had to make that decision, a
Oh
couple
yeah, for
months
sure.
ago, and it was the right decision. So we're gonna wait and just are optimistic and hopeful that we can reconvene there next year for sure. But all of my retreats are all on my website, and possibly there might be one at Maryville in Austin, Texas, in the fall in November if things are
Great.
feeling good. So there's lots of opportunities to spend a lot of time with me in very healing locations. So yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah.
So important for all of us. So, Amy, thank you. My love
Thank
to you
you,
always,
Julie.
darling. You're just
I love you. I love being with you.
beautiful,
And can we?
beautiful inside and out, darling. Beautiful inside and out. So, thank you for sharing, darling. And have a beautiful weekend. And my love to you always. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you. Bye.